that your work on television with LAPD, with LA Law and NYPD Blue and Hill Street Blues, and on film with Primal Fear and now with Fallen, that you do have a kind of predilection for the darker toned, almost horror-etched movie. Is this a thing in your own psyche or desires to do?
Well, I think the most interesting, complicated, contradictory, provocative behavior comes out of darker places.
Yeah.
Than sunnier places.
Well, I almost didn't want to say horror film, because horror films generally, the good ones, are like seismic readings of where a society is at, I think, whether there's demons or not. Now, in your case, it's pretty much true up front. We've got a monstrous presence here, but how in the world do you make a film in which you cannot see it? It's all touch here. It's a tactile...
Well, it was devising a visual language for that entity. And once you understood that when that language was on the screen, you're in that world. You're in that entity's head, no matter what person that entity is in.
For example, the subjective shot.
Yeah.
Which is what? How was that done?
Well, it's a combination of film stock and lenses and shutter speed that I spent a lot of time with my director of photography, Tom Siegel, developing.
Yeah,
a lot of experimenting and what's going to work, what's too much, what's not enough, what's subtle, what's interesting, what doesn't feel pandering or silly. I mean, it's kind of tricky business.
And then also suggesting the invisible is the use of the song.
Yeah. The
Rolling Stones song, "Time on My Side." Whose idea was that?
Well, in the script, Nick Kazan has the first person's, the fellow being executed, singing it. And then a couple other people are either singing it or whistling it as they're moving through, and that's, essentially this entity, this creature who's been alive for thousands of years and will presumably, if Hobbs doesn't stop him, be alive for thousands more, singing it. I said, well, man, I mean, that's one of the great rock and roll songs of all time, and it speaks directly to the heart of this movie. Let's see if we can get it, and if we can get it, I'll devise a place to put it where it makes sense but doesn't slow the movie down. And the same thing for the song at the end of the movie, which I don't want to talk about because that's the surprise. But that piece of music, also by the Stones, is just dead on perfect for the moment.
Do you think I'm going way out on a limb if I wonder if maybe this movie isn't also indicative of a society that's afraid of touch? We are in a tactile, neurotic, paranoid society. Touch. People won't shake hands because of the fear of getting a cold.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it wasn't one of our considerations.
Okay.
Okay.
It's just that a horror film, and there I use that word again, that has intelligence and that does rely upon our imagination. These are increasingly rare today. Do you have an attitude about that?
Well, can we refer to this maybe as supernatural?
Very good.
I think for me it was always that. It was a supernatural thriller. I'll leave horror films to horror filmmakers. I don't know. I just do what I do. I mean, Nick had a really good idea and wrote a really good screenplay to illustrate that idea. And then we sought to make it airtight, both in the world of the cop and the world of the supernatural, and then to blend the two genres together into hopefully a seamless piece, and to give it a cinematic language that allowed you entree into the demon or the supernatural world. He wrote a very bright, brainy screenplay, so maybe it's a supernatural thriller with a brain.
Well, Val Lewton pointed the way. It's nice to see other directors respecting that, I think. Is that fair? Yeah. We've got to get out of here. Time is not on our side.
Well,
Gregory
so
Hoblit,
I can see.
The director of Fallen. I'm John Tibbetts with Greg here in Los Angeles for KCTV5.